Hi, welcome to Box on the Box, Rock and Celluloid, Bob Brack for short. I'm Edward Box, and these are my films of the year. So I thought this would be a good opportunity just to patter about a few films that I saw that I didn't review on the channel. But I saw quite a lot of horror films this year, and some that I covered were Late Night with the Devil and The First Omen. Late Night with the Devil was excellent, really interesting. If you want to know more about it, check out my review. But if you've not seen it, it's well worth checking out. And as is The First Omen, I thought this was a decent prequel. Not great, but well directed. Again, check out my review. But you might want to do an Omen quadrilogy and watch this first and then watch the original trilogy, or perhaps it's better to watch the original trilogy and then watch this. But I enjoyed it. It was better than it had any reason to be. Saw Smile 2. Now, I didn't review this on the channel. The first Smile was pretty good. I thought this was better. It was far too long, but it had a very good central performance and an excellent opening sequence, which is done in a long take. Now, sometimes long takes can get a bit sort of passe now because it's all been done, but this was like dramatically gripping and made really good use of the single take structure. It led into the credit scene, which was very good. And it had good pop recreation sequences. They were quite realistic, and some really icky bits. But it was decent. So again, if you've not seen Smile, well, watch Smile. It is good. Watch Smile too if you've seen Smile. I don't think, and you like that, you certainly won't be disappointed with this. The other one was Long Legs. This was the Osgood Perkins film. Not a director I've come across before until this, but he has an interesting look to his films, an interesting atmosphere. I think, do they call it elevated horror? I'm not sure. But this is like a serial killer film. Nicolas Cage is absolutely batshit metal in this, really creepy. Maika Monroe is good. It was very kind of brown, very sort of austere. I think it was set in the early 90s. And it made quite good use of that. It didn't all work, but it was strong on unsettling atmosphere and stillness and use of like dead space in the frame. So what I mean by that is it's kind of, you've got to look at a lot of the things as you're not doing anything in the frame, and there's that sense of threat outside the frame. But it's good. Again, well worth checking out. A good use of sound design on it. And the same Speak No Evil. So this was the remake of I think it's a Danish film. James McAvoy starring in this. Scoot McNairy. God, I've forgotten her name. I always do this, but she's in Terminator. Dark Fate, but she's really good. I enjoyed this. This was good. It's directed by James Watkins. So James Watkins did that excellent film Eden Lake, probably one of the best British horrors of recent times, along with The Descent. Then he did The Woman in Black, which was all right, and then he did the TV version, the 6-part series of The Crest Files, which is quite good actually. He's a good filmmaker. I think he's got back to his best with this. This is really well done. It's tense. It's funny. McAvoy's really unnerving. I think you can see the Danish version on Prime. I think you have to pay for it. But well worth checking out. So I kind of get this a 7 out of 10. I maybe go to an 8. Just going back and see, I think the first one was a 7. Late Night with the Devil was a 7.5, maybe an 8. The other sort of horror film I saw was Maxine. So this is Ty West's part of his Pearl trilogy. You got X, Pearl, and this is Maxine. Maybe like this, certainly second best. Maybe not as good as X, but really good. Again, the central performance is brilliant. This had a great sort of De Palma 80s look. If you've seen Body Double, it had a lot of the vibe of that. It was kind of bloody, but it had the kind of sleazy porn element of LA back in 85. Great pre-credit sequence, great soundtrack. Mia Goth, that's her name. This is a great piece of work she's done here. I think she's really great actress. She's excellent in the Brandon Cronenberg film, and I've forgotten the name of it, but she's really good in that. This across these 3 films, she's really, really created an interesting kind of mini body of work, and I just think she's so good. So those are excellent, good films. Conclave, you saw a review. It's only had a few reviews, but that was one of the best films I've seen at the pictures this year. I also reviewed Juror Number 2, which, although it wasn't great, it was solid, and it was great to see a good Clint Eastwood, if this is his last film, go out on, like, not a low, but on a good, solid film. Then there was Dune 2 as well. I thought this was excellent. It kind of built on the first one. Maybe not as good as the first one, but some great sequences in this. There was that great bit battling with the big sort of robot ships, and then there was the brilliant depiction of the Harkonnen planet where it's just bleached out white. Really good and interesting how it developed the Timothée Chalamet character. It's a funny sell, Dune, you know. It is kind of full of a load of mumbo jumbo in a way, but the world building on this is the best we've seen since Star Wars and Alien, Blade Runner for sure. Obviously, these guys are big influences on Denis Villeneuve, but he really has put himself on the map as a director who can create these, along with Christopher Nolan. I think he is the guy at the moment where there's a sense of anticipation, excitement with whatever he did, and even if you didn't like the film, like Tenet, you're still going to watch it and you still have things in it. I mean, I did like Tenet, but so roll on Dune 3. I haven't seen the Dune Prophecy series, but anyway, and I'll give you my worst film. Another film, so not the worst, was Paddington in Peru. Obviously Paddington, really good, 8.5 out of 10. Paddington 2, a masterpiece, one of the best films this century, absolute brilliant family film, 10 out of 10. This was never going to measure up to it, and I went into the cinema, with that in mind, and it's a solid 7 out of 10. I was actually enjoying it. I think it was in an 8, but when I thought about it, it had a Sally Hawkins size hole in it. Emily Mortimer does a good job, but it really misses Sally Hawkins and it misses Paul King's direction. The directors do their best. I think on balance, I think it's right to take Paddington out of London for a Paddington Adventure. It kind of came across as kind of a Indiana Jones thing, and I was kind of the actual plot. I was thinking, this maybe would have made a better later Indiana Jones film. But some lovely references in this. It actually references Fitzcarraldo, obviously Indiana Jones, a few other films. Antonio Banderas was a lot of fun in this, as was Olivia Colman, but particularly Antonio Banderas. Hugh Bonneville was excellent as well, and it benefited from those performances. I think where it came unstuck was the kind of shtick, the situation Paddington gets into weren't as fresh, but the climax, it got better as it went along. The climax very nicely and had that nice, sentiment. So I wasn't disappointed with it. I was disappointed it couldn't come up to the measure of the first two, but I wasn't expecting it to. But it's a strong trilogy. That Paddington trilogy is coming in at 25, 26 out of 30. So it's up there, it's up there with like the marks you give a Star Wars trilogy, Alien trilogy. In that respect, it kind of mirrors that, Jedi's not as good as the first two. Alien 3's not as good. Terminator 3, kind of 6 out of 10. I didn't quite like it. Obviously, the first two classics. It's kind of that kind of thing. Lord of the Rings, stronger trilogy across 3 pictures, as is the Toy Story films. But that's it. So my worst film of the year, actually saw this on streaming, but before I go to this, I've just remembered I've missed out another film off streaming, and that's Woman of the Hour. So this was the one film directed Netflix or any kind of streaming film I saw this year that I thought, this is really good. It's directed by Anna Kendrick. It stars, this is based on a true story about a serial killer who would pose as a photographer, he's a good photographer, lure girls in and murder them, and he ended up as a contestant on The Dating Game. The Dating Game is the American version of Blind Date. It's where the Blind Date show in the UK with Scylla. Laura Laughs came from, and Anna Kendrick is an actress, and her agent suggests she goes on the show to further her career because she's not getting parts, and this isn't an uncommon thing. Amanda Holden appeared on Blind Date. Sally Field apparently appeared on The Dating Game in America and did quite well. So people didn't know they were actresses, but it's just their personality. And Anna Kendrick character does really well. On this, she's kind of funny and undermines the kind of what the boss of the show wants. But it looks at attitudes to women, the attitudes of the bosses on the show, the attitudes of obviously the killer, the way she's treated in auditions. But the direction's very good. It's very tense. It's got a nice stillness to it. Anna Kendrick doesn't try to be flash. Her and a team put together good shots, good atmosphere, good pacing. It's really well paced, and it's tense. There's one scene that's very, very tense, and really well done, well edited, and I think it shows real promise for Anna Kendrick as a filmmaker. This was too good to go to Netflix, and I think this is really good. Check it out. It's definitely one of the best films of the year list for me. Just one of those films, a directorial debut where it's just put together, and the director's shown ambition, but hasn't overstretched themselves. They kind of know what they want and know what'll work. Again, the sort of the politics of it, looking at the politics of women's politics of the 70s. It's really good, and how it mirrors today. So my worst film I actually saw on streaming, this was Roadhouse. This was the Jake Gyllenhaal, Conor McGregor remake of the Patrick Swayze film. So the Patrick Swayze Roadhouse is what I call a fun B-movie thick-eared action flick. A lot of people go, it's amazing Roadhouse. It's not, but it's good fun. It's directed by a guy called Rowdy Harrington. That's a great name. He did Striking Distance. Patrick Swayze plays a bouncer. Ben Gazzara's the villain. He's really good in it. He's got Kelly Lynch as the love interest. Sam Elliott's his old bouncer mate. Basically, you've got a corrupt mob boss in the town. Patrick Swayze kicks ass. It's got a great kind of fight scene towards the end where I won't tell you what happens. You've not seen the film. But it's very satisfying. And it's a solid 8 out of 10. It would have been a great video rental at the time. It's got a cult following. That's why it's got remade. I just didn't get Jake Gyllenhaal's character in this. He had none of the I don't know, it was just kind of a bit passive to me. And there's a whole backstory with it that he's killed someone in a ring, but that didn't hold. But the worst thing about this is Conor McGregor. Now, obviously, recently Conor McGregor has lost his civil case. If you read up about him, he comes across, the thing is, Conor McGregor in real life comes across as a fucking knob. And then this recent civil case shows he's a fucking knob. So he shouldn't have been in this film, but he's terrible. His acting is terrible in this. The way you can tell that the directors told him to behave a certain way and thought Conor's going to be great. He's just fucking terrible. And the end's fucking terrible. This is the worst performance, and this is the worst film I've seen this year. It's that thing Hollywood does. It takes a film that's a cult film. He did it with Get Carter. He does it with other films that wasn't a big hit, but was, got a bit of love, and they're like, let's remake it, and they just fuck it up. So there was controversy because this went straight to streaming, didn't go to the cinema, but I'm not surprised really. It's fucking shit. Right, so my best film of the year is The Substance. So the director of this is a female filmmaker. As usual, I haven't got my list up. It's Camille. I've forgotten the second name. I really should get this sorted. Sorry. But anyway, she did a film called Revenge. I think it's about 2017, 2018. If you've not seen this is really good. This film, it's about a girl. She gets wronged by a boyfriend. He tries to murder her. She gets completely blattered, but she kind of survives and kind of gets reborn in blood, so to speak, and goes on revenge. The Substance is similar. This director kind of deals in kind of polar opposites and black and white and extremes. So the plot of The Substance is Demi Moore, very well cast, a great bit of meta casting. She plays an older actress who's done fitness videos, is very successful, but obviously she got older and she's now in her 50s, possibly older, and she's starting to show her age a bit more, and her bosses are starting to make cutting remarks and make it seem like she's past it. Now, if you've seen Demi Moore, now she looks fantastic. So she's had some work done. She looks fantastic for her age, but it just shows the cruelty of that. So again, the casting of Demi Moore, for those not familiar, Demi Moore was very, very much, there was a focus on her body back in her heyday, so she got a lot of money for a film called Striptease. That was the highest fee paid to an actress at that point, where she poses kind of almost, nude cross-legged, covering her vitals. On the cover, she posed on the front of Vanity Fair pregnant and was painted, that famous Annie Leibovitz painting. Of course, there's Indecent Proposal, where she's so beautiful that Robert Redford wants to pay to sleep with her and pays $1 million. Yeah, all good sexual politics. Yeah, she, so this casting of Demi Moore is kind of like I say, there's that level there. She basically takes this substance. People get in touch with her, or she gets in touch with them. And it means she can basically give birth to another self, another younger, beautiful self, who's played by Margaret Qualley, but they have to swap. It's 1 week on, 1 week off. It's 1 week Demi Moore, it's 1 week Margaret Qualley. And Margaret Qualley's character goes on to do the fitness video, who's also Demi Moore, but she gets greedy and wants more time, so to speak. It's got really horrible Cronenberg horror. And it's funny, but it's properly icky. So it might not be to everyone's taste, but it's got great music, it's got great compositions, it's very stylish. The trailer, if you saw the trailer, the trailer was brilliant. It was the best trailer of the year. If I've got a criticism, it does go absolutely batshit mental in the climax, which I did enjoy, but I don't know if it maybe went too far. But this is, it's by far the most sort of striking film. It's the most all-out film. And it's the film I've seen this year where the vision of the filmmaker is total. I think she's written it as well. It's like a first film, it's like, this is what I'm going to do. I think Mark Kermode said this director will make a masterpiece. A masterpiece is coming. I'm not sure this is it, but for two first films, she's brilliant. And yeah, watch his space. Apologies for not having written down a name. Anyway, that is my film of the year. It's A Substance. If you've not seen it, make sure you check it out. Thanks very much, and I'll see you again in 2025.